Good evening and welcome to Empower Talk. This is a safe and empowering platform where we invite professionals and specialists to join us to share their stories, to share their experiences, and to give us advices. My name is Taylor. I am so many things. I have a profession and I'm passionate about personal development and growth. I'm a member of Toastmasters International. But tonight, I am your host. I'm excited about our episode this evening. I am extremely excited. For years, or in fact, just a year, the whole year, this platform has been given to our ladies abom Bogodo to celebrate the women empowerment and the ladies Amandela and all of that. They forgot about us men. Yep. Just like how they forget about Father's Day. I mean, if you remember, the last time we celebrated Father's Day was sometime last year, and they still give us a pair of socks. I mean, Kimang Arefan pair of socks in this year. Petrol ya tura, full tank, not pair of socks. So tonight it's a special episode because it is an immense talk. We are inviting men to come talk and share advices and share their stories and their experiences. But before we do that, to our audience online, welcome. Please feel free to like, to subscribe, and to click the notification button. You do not want to be left behind. Siabangen, we are within Osestesan, we are Benekant. Tonight we are doing the talk. Now, for the moment that we've been waiting for, again, welcome to Men's Talk. I am not alone. I am bringing gang, boys to men, but all for one. Like I am not all by myself this evening. I would like to call in my panelists to come on stage, introduce themselves, who they are and what they do. Now we're starting with Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hi, good evening, Vui.
How are you doing?
Very good, and you?
Awesome. Please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much. My name is Michael Shackleton. I'm also in Toastmasters, the international public speaking organization, where I oversee Centurion and also Midrand. I am the executive vice president of a young professionals organization called Junior Chamber International, which is all over the world, but we have organizations in most countries. People like Kofi Annan and Bill Clinton and presidents and prime ministers are alumni of it. I'm also an attorney. I've been a member of parliament, a member of the Gauteng legislature, and a city council. So you can see already it's a bit of a mouthful, but it's fair to say I've been active in the private sector, the public sector, and the NGO space.
Yeah. My next question was, what time do you sleep? But don't answer that now. We will get to that. We will get to that. And then the next on my list is Katleho.
Good evening, Babu Votela. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself, Tejani?
I'm good. Thank you.
Please introduce yourself, who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Katla Otijani, and I'm a businessman. I have a law degree background, but I'm sure Michael uses it more than I do. And besides that, really, I'm just an individual, just wants to make a change around myself, my community, if I can. So I'm just a positive old guy, really.
I like that. Thank you very much and welcome. And then to the next one on the list is Nyaniso. Nyaniso, please come through.
Evening, how are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Well, thank you. Quite interesting CVs. I don't even know how to introduce myself.
Yes, please do not disappoint us. Do not disappoint us.
I've already disappointed. I have not sat in parliament yet. Just
Yes,
a
please.
bit about myself. I'm an accountant by profession.
Yeah.
With the practice currently, I was in corporate. I've been in the industry from my articles days. That would have been from 1994. So I can effectively say I have 29 years working experience. Looking at numbers explains the craze, and well, I have been running solo with a small and a relatively small accounting firm, which is, I mean, it's about 4 years old now, headed to 5. So I think we have passed the critical phase.
Definitely. No, definitely. I think you did not disappoint. I must say, I see your experience in as a chartered accountant, and you take me back to my years when I was in Deloitte, and then we were told about the house in a hill and a convertible car. So we all wanted to be black chartered accountants. Like, yep, it's our time. It's our time. But thank you very much and welcome. And
Thank
then
you.
the next one is Bogan. Bogan, please come through.
Well, I know for a fact you certainly set me up after parliamentarians, attorneys, accountants, business people. Then you ask me who I am. I'm just Bokang Modise. By profession, I'm an internal auditor. I also do some work in audit committees. I'm also proud volunteer in many organizations, mostly in my professional area. I do some few 1 or 2 board committees there, but I'm certainly not. I don't think I'm ready for Parliament, and I don't think I want to be ready for Parliament before I had, every time I think of Parliament, I'm thinking, Mr. Michael, we don't recognize you. I was thinking that maybe
Order, order.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. I must say, I feel safe this evening. I've checked accountants, so at least the money is in safe hands. The money is in safe hands, gents. Yes. Thank you. Welcome very much, Boka. And then we're moving to Teklana. Hi, Teklana. Welcome.
Hi, Vui. How are you?
Awesome. And yourself, my brother.
I'm all right. Did you perhaps get the order wrong? Were you supposed to start that end and finish the other end? Because everyone is like...
I always like to leave the best for last. Like
No, you're supposed to build up, my brother. You're supposed to build up. But anyway, my name is Tetlana, otherwise known as Alan. Surname Shadum. I'm a mechanical engineer by profession. I'm currently working in the maintenance space. And I'm the president of Transnet Trailblazers Toastmasters Club. And that's all about me. One day we'll do Parliament, one day we'll do businessmen, and the likes. But for now, just president of Toastmasters Club.
Welcome. Definitely you are in the right track. I always say, trust the process. I'm sure that's where Michael started and Lugwe is. That's where everybody really started. So definitely you are in the right track and you are not disappointed at all. Welcome very much.
Fantastic. Thanks.
And then saving the best for last.
I mean, because
if people thought that they had CVs, wait to this until you hear this one. Please, Leander, don't disappoint, please.
I can't disappoint. Because I mean, what's fun times like honestly speaking, I go by the name LDK. For those wondering who I am, I'm a singer, songwriter, all the way from Pietermaritzburg. Also consider myself a musical gymnast. Also just currently dabbling into production as we speak. I'm also just trying to always, expand my profile and expand my name and just grow the brand always. So yeah, that's who I am in a nutshell. So yeah.
Awesome. So do you also sing Muscat?
I can try. I can definitely influence. I can definitely take different sounds and try to come up with something unique and different.
We're looking forward.
Yeah, definitely.
We're looking forward and welcome very much. Welcome. Thank you very much and welcome. And to our audience, this is my panelist. I'm excited. I actually asked the gentlemen who introduced themselves. I'm thinking, so if Reshapa Brai, we know Kimang who's going to buy ice. We know who's the DJ. We know who's collecting the money. to buy the meat, who's gonna set up. We have everyone. We have everyone. So give full house. Give full house this evening. To our audience, please remember to like, to subscribe, and click the notification bell. Actually, our live chat is even open. So if you want to make comments or shout out to the gentlemen who are joining me this evening, feel free. Feel free. We are relaxing tonight. We are having men's talk. So, kushushu, watch this. Now, gentlemen, I've been sent this evening. I've been sent. Kina tumamina. The ladies wants to know, what do we talk about when we sitting? Slelenje as majida. We sitting and we chilling. What do we talk about when our partners are not there? So I attempted to ask about, don't try to be a hero. We're sending you to go ask them, what do you men talk about? Because we've been accused that we don't talk. So because our episode this evening is men's talk, this is our opportunity to show them that an hour is nothing. We can do this. We can do this. So let me start. I see somebody already laughing. I'm sure he has a lot to tell us. What do we talk about when our partners are not there? But I'll start with you, Boga.
Are you serious, my man? You have to start with me. You know what? Normally I don't talk. Those sort of people that try to meditate and try to think about the future when my partner is not here. But I'm kidding, sir. I think for me, what I talk about mostly when my partner is not there, after I speak about her, it will probably be the general things that women face around the world. It could be simple. Sometimes you could just be meeting a Sundowns person trying to complete how they were cheated by pirates. Sometimes you meet your former Pirates person who tells you how good they are to be the champions. But most of the time we talk about things that affect us. And I think for a fact, it depends on where you are. Sometimes you might be at work sitting with some few guys talking about how can we be able to improve ourselves and do work much better. Sometimes we talk about simple things like our personal challenges and problems. And you know, sometimes people think men don't talk. Some men, we talk. We talk about our trouble. We talk about what happened last night, what we want to see happening this night. So we do talk about a whole lot of things, the weather, the politics. I think maybe we might have talked about Michael at some point while he was still in Parliament, but you know what, we do talk a whole laundry list of many things. And I don't even know specifically what to say.
Thank you very much. I must say, I like your choice of words you say after we talk about your woman. And you do not say after you complain. You say after you talk about. So I like that. You are safe. You are safe.
Thank you.
Michael, if you're not in the parliament, what do you talk about when you're sitting and chilling with guys?
Well, honestly, we speak about women. And we speak about women. We speak about soccer. Sometimes we talk about success and plans to make money. But often, I think we'll talk about soccer most of the time, and organizations. And I think as men, maybe we like power and influence somewhat. That might just be a voluntary organization as well, but we might have a scheme. You see, men are always full of plans. So you might have a plan, whether it will just talk to this guy, please talk to this guy for me. But I think as men, as brothers, we do try to help each other up in life, and which is maybe what some of this is about as well. That women do think it's the easiest thing in the world to be a man, but it's not, and we have to really help each other in this life, and there are extremely high expectations on a man, especially to be able to provide.
Yeah, I agree. Yaniso, do you have anything to add to that? What do we talk about?
Well, I must be honest. I wish there was one topic or something uniform I can say we talk about. Firstly, I'm not a gender conscious person. So whether a room is strictly men, half female, etc., the conversation depends on the setting. It depends on how we read the room. If you are in a room and they are talking football, that's the conversation, and then the next conversation will lead to the next. If you are in a room and unfortunately they are discussing people, that's the conversation. They will discuss people, and we move right along to the next topic. It's all about reading the room. There's nothing I believe men discuss. I know there's curiosity, especially from the female counterparts. What do they discuss? There's nothing out of the ordinary I've heard being discussed, which they can't discuss in front of them.
Yeah. Nothing at all. So they should not even be curious. It's nothing.
They should not be curious. There's nothing. I mean, yeah, and quite often you see with the partners, men have this. A lot of men have a great respect for their partners, or they like to appear to have a great respect for their partners. So they always speak highly of their partners in their absence. So unfortunately, because you are not there, you would assume that, what are they talking about? You'll be very surprised. It's actually painting you in a positive, which paints them in a positive as well. Like they made a great choice.
I agree. I just got a message now from one of our chats. He says, no, we have to be more specific. This lady says, I'm asking for a friend. What specific do men talk about? I'm like, we said cars. We said soccer. They want more specific. So let's take it to the 2000s. LDK.
When I say sports, I mean soccer in particular.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of soccer, right? We always argue, we always have debates about the best teams out there. But also with me, in most cases when I'm around, I like to talk about music the whole time, right? I like to talk about growth. I like to talk about where we see ourselves in the future, right? Like how we can grow the arts, how we can perfect the arts, the crafts, and how we can sort of collaborate and just come together to create something quite solid as a unit, as a gents, as a guys together there. So with me, when I'm with the guys, what we talk about is mostly growth and just moving forward in life and just bettering ourselves as guys, as people, and educating each other, I feel like that's very important whenever you're associating yourself with people, especially guys, because you can get a bit silly sometimes. Let's be honest. I know each and every person here, especially because we all men, it can get a bit silly sometimes. We joke around, we joke around sometimes, we mess around sometimes, but definitely at the end of the day, when we're together, it's very important that we have productive conversations that can lead to something very greater in life, educating each other, and just being better people. So in a nutshell.
I like that. Educating each other. Katleho, what do we talk about?
There's two things that men talk about, and they talk about them in priority. The first one is women.
Yeah.
They talk about their grandmothers, their sisters, their aunts, their nieces, their partners, and their loved ones.
Yeah.
Frequently, about what they do on an ordinary day, what my sister said, what my mother is doing. So we talk about women all the time.
Yeah.
But secondly, men talk about everything. Everything under the sun, everything that happens. But I suppose for me, what is important is, the quality and the frequency of the discussions that men have. And my personal view has always been that I, in particular, do not hang around men.
Yeah.
I hang around individuals and characters that happen to be men.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really to understand the character, the person, because you can't necessarily say men are the same and they speak about the same things, they speak about women the same way. No, they don't.
Yeah.
It is the quality of your circle and the frequency that you vibe at with you talk about. But really, it is the character that talks about characters. So men are not generic, as it were.
Yes.
But yeah, we do talk about women and other stuff.
Yes. And just for disclosure, we talk good things about women.
Without a doubt, all the time.
It's not like there's any other things. It's good things that we talk about women. It's very good. And then Svetlana?
I think they've covered it all. But I think mostly it depends on the setting. But predominantly for me, I think settings that I end up in most of the times is about soccer and the best teams, as LDK was saying, like, Arsenal is the best team, that type of conversation.
Yes.
And if you want specific, then we talk about how VAR is messing everyone around. VAR is the video assistant referee that's been introduced into soccer and how we don't like it. And we fight over the decisions that they make, but not literal fights, but, conversational fights.
Yeah.
And then we also talk about women. That's a given. If I'm hanging out with my single friends, I always ask them why they're not married. So that's another way of talking about women. So yeah, man, those are some of the conversations that we have.
Thank you. Abosisi, our dear sisters, you heard for yourself. This is what we talk about when we're chilling and relaxing out there at the car wash around the corner with our gents, drinking whatever we're drinking. Just soccer, weather, politics, things that empower us as men, business ideas, what this one is doing, how we can help each other. That's all that we're talking about. I think it's very, very, very specific. So next time when we come home, don't say, what are you guys talking about? Because now you know the answer already. Remember, to our audience, please subscribe, like, and click that notification bell, because tonight it's Men's Talk. Now, that was just an icebreaker to get to bring into our space as men. Remember, I said for a whole year, this podcast platform was given to the ladies. Now we are claiming what is ours. We now cementing ourselves, occupying the space now and cementing ourselves that, hey, we are also here as men. We also do talk sometimes. We might not fight for it, but we do talk. We do talk. We do. If you give us space, we talk. Now, talking about the talking as men, we move on to expectations. Your expectations from our society, from our families, from our communities. What expectations did you experience, gentlemen? What expectations did you experience from your family, from society, including from our culture? Because some cultures demands and dictates that there has this and this has to be done. So what were the expectations, or what are the expectations that you experienced or have experienced, and how did you deal, or you still dealing with those expectations? Abukatla, let me start with you. The expectations. I don't know, is it from my side? I could not hear you, sir. Let's try again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you. Apologies for that. What I was saying was that, expectations are a natural consequence of being a social being.
Yeah.
When An example is that, when you are young, you go to school, you're expected to pass by your parents as expectations. When you finish school, you get a job, you're expected to do well. Even in your own career, in business, you're expected to do well. But that in itself brings other expectations from family members, society, colleagues, but also from yourself. You expect certain things, from yourself as an individual. And as an individual, you also, are multifaceted as an individual. You are an uncle, father, you are a politician, you are something. All these expectations, all of them are upon you. But the way I've always seen it is that because of the fact that an individual is multifaceted, as I said, you are a lawyer, you are an engineer, you are a father, you are an uncle. So you have to deal with all these expectations all the time. The question is, how do you manage them? But you can't run from expectations. You have to manage them, accept them for what they are. And I suppose if you don't think too much about them, it is easy to carry them, because if you're an uncle, you're exactly that. You don't necessarily have to think hard to switch positions from being in a boardroom, with perhaps shareholder expectations that you need to deliver upon. But I suppose at home too, when you're sitting with your grandmother, she still expects you to make tea for her and deliver it on a nice saucer, So there are always expectations. It's in the how you, as the young people say, it's in the how you hang with your expectations, I suppose.
So give us a specific expectation that you felt it was too heavy for you to fulfill.
The expectation for me, heavy, is the expectation of fulfilling others' expectations. That's the heaviest expectation in my opinion. When you have to please others and fulfill the expectations. I suppose the way is to fulfill your expectations, because in that way, you are able then to please others. Once you have pleased yourself and met your expectations, in a way, you can't meet other people's expectations if you're unable to meet your own. But I suppose the direct answer is that the difficult is trying to fulfill others' expectations.
Yeah. I like that. Svetlana, what expectations did you experience or are you experiencing, and how do you work around managing those expectations?
Thanks, Wee. I think for me, the first step in managing the expectations, societal, cultural, and family expectations, is awareness. Do I know the expectations? So in places where I don't know what the expectations are, I would clearly ask, what do you expect of me? I'm a new father of two, right? And I don't know what that means. I've never been a father of two before in my life, right? So I'd ask my wife in this season, what do you expect from me as a father? And I mean, some of the expectations you don't have to ask. It's like presence with the kids. You don't have to ask your wife, do I need to be present with the kids? So I think the first step is to be aware and ask for additional, just to check your blind spots. And therefore you are able to focus and prioritize. I think said their focus is simply the ability to say no, right? So what I say no in this season is really, really important on how I manage my expectations of the season that I'm in, whether societal, cultural, or family. But the season that I'm in, what I say no to that in that season is really, really important to how I manage those expectations. So that's what I think you manage your expectations.
How old are your two kids?
2 years, 9 months, and 3 months.
So you are expected in the 3 months that in the evening it's your turn to do the night drill.
That's the one, my brother. You know, I can't
See
ask
it?
about that one. I can't ask about that one. I just have to, during the day, I have to nap a bit so that at night I can, you know, that's how I manage that expectation. So that at night I can have the stamina to continue. But sometimes I don't have it because I just sleep throughout the night.
Yeah, no. I used to tell my friends that my kids sleeps throughout the night. They sleep
Yeah.
peacefully. And then in the morning, you're like, didn't you hear the kids screaming like mine? They sleep throughout the night. They don't cry in the middle of the night.
That's me sometimes, my brother.
Any so expectations and how are you dealing with them or have you dealt with them?
Well, expectations come in different forms, as we've just been discussing. I mean, as a man, when you walk into a restaurant, into a room, if there's a table of people, you're expected to carry the bill.
Yeah.
It's automatic. It's expected of you. You're expected to carry the family on your shoulders. You're expected to physically be there. Like if there is an altercation, physically, it's expected that a man will step up and stop everything and take charge. And, you know, there are so many expectations, you know, like societal wise, family wise, a lot of them being more on the financial.
Yeah.
You know, you're expected to complete your education. You are expected to provide financially. You are expected to carry the following. You are expected to be, you know, there's a lot, and a lot of it is, as earlier said as well, a lot of it is not communicated. So you find in a room, you walk in, you're just sitting at a table. You don't know that it's expected of you to settle the bill for the other 10 people on the table. So it has not been communicated. And at the interval where the bill comes, the waiter doesn't look their head straight for them, for you. You know, for some of us who are a bit bigger in size, you know, they'll assume that's the one settling the bill for the entire thing.
Yes, because you ate the most. You ate the most. You must pay.
According to their assumption. So now here you are sitting with a bill for table, and everyone is looking aside, very busy. And this expectation has not communicated. And you know, your card, you just pray that your card is not declined at that moment. Same happens with families and all that. In a household, there's so much you're expected to do, and it might not be communicated. So you find it's communicated in a way where you are being made to feel like a failure. Like, I mean, there's a man in the house, but the globes are not changed. But it was never, you did not walk into all the rooms, did you? Yes. You were not aware that there are no globes in the other room. You were not aware on your way home that you had to stop by and buy A, B, C, D. So it's often communicated in a form of being highlighted as a failure. Lack of a better word to say, but you know, I don't have fuel in my car. I didn't drive your car. Yeah. But those are the kind of expectations I think I have observed. And how to overcome it, I mean, deal with each expectation as it comes and be as transparent as you can be. I'm a very transparent person. 10 people are on this table. I was invited as well. My bill is 300 rands.
Yes.
Who's paying next?
Yes.
You move right along.
Yes, I like that. I like that. Yes, you put your 300 there and then leave it.
You know, so that's my 2 cents worth.
You know, I asked myself, at what age these people or these beautiful ladies they learn expectations. I mean, you get home and then my daughter will be like, Daddy, did you bring me something? Like since when? I'm worried that your school fee must be paid. There must be bread for your lunchbox. You still want something on top of that. And then just as you bypass that one, the mother is also waiting. So no chocolate nyana or how? Michael, are you experiencing that?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I think that there are extremely high expectations on a man in our society.
Yeah.
And men probably don't talk about it enough amongst one another. And I think maybe women don't necessarily appreciate that men do have daily struggles simply to survive. I mean, and simply to provide and even to maintain a certain image. There are honestly stories of a man, for example, leaving the house for the day to keep up the impression that he has a job or he still has a job where maybe he's been retrenched and so on, and to keep up appearances. And it doesn't necessarily mean that in every situation in South Africa that it's only the man providing. There are obviously many incidences of two-income households, and we do find women CEOs of organizations and state-owned enterprises, and we find cabinet ministers. But I think those are the outliers, and that there are extreme expectations on men. And I think maybe sometimes, if not often, as men, we don't feel that our struggles are being realized or even thought of, and that if we voice that maybe we have difficult days, or we have a difficult month, or we have a difficult year, maybe we're earning half this year monthly than what we earned last year, or that we're struggling to find employment. Now, I think we fear being laughed at as men. That somehow society will denigrate us, and we've seen so often, more than not, that men fall into depression, and they feel perhaps they shouldn't even be alive in this world where they are in a jobless situation. Such are the expectations on a man in our societies. I would just urge people that have these expectations that yes, we do know that we do have to meet these expectations, but maybe to understand sometimes that it is difficult, and we are doing our absolute best no matter the circumstances, but to have maybe more patience and kindness and understanding at all times when maybe we are in a difficult situation, and maybe whether it's the wife or the daughter expecting something that maybe can't be delivered tonight or this month or this year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I must say, from how we were raised as well, at some point you don't even given a platform or opportunity to tell them that, hey, kunzima, it's tough. No, you're expected. Like how Nyaniso say, you are expected to say do exactly what is expected of you. Because if you don't do it, who's supposed to do it? As Nyaniso say, if you don't pay the bill, who's supposed to? Because you are there, you ate. So settle it. Leander, expectations, my brother, from family, society, culture. Are you there? Sorry, I can't hear you. Let's
I
try
think the
again.
mic is okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So basically, with me, I think it's this whole thing and being expected to have everything figured out by a certain age, right?
Yeah.
Now you're going to be expected to have everything figured out in your early 20s. Like you're 21, 22, you're expected to have your own apartment. You're expected to have your financial life in order on the road, you know? While at that point in time, I'm only still discovering myself as a person, as an individual, you know? And then also with us as the youth comes this phenomenon called social media. Wow.
Mm.
I can't wow enough on social media. Like the amount of pressure that comes with social media in this day and age is crazy. It's hectic. It's a
Yeah.
lot to deal with because now we expected
Yeah.
to sort of portray what we see on the screen, like a certain way as to how you take pictures, the videos, the amount of editing that goes into the the whole aesthetic, the whole visual representation
Oh,
that we see on social media. It's crazy, you know.
oh,
It's a lot to keep up with. And then you get home, you're also expected to provide. As I said, it's not that easy to come through and support the family whilst you're still on a journey of self-discovery as well, you know. I'm trying to discover myself as an individual. I'm trying to get to a certain level before I can support the whole family as a whole. Rather, I need each and one of you guys to support me, to encourage me in order for me to put your needs and your wants on the table as you want me to, as you expect me to, for lack of a better phrase, right? So
yeah,
we go through a lot as men, or you know, as a young man, you know, it's a lot that we face, that we go through on a daily basis, and the expectations are through the roof, like they're literally through the roof. So it's literally a lot to deal with, but we're taking it a day as the day comes. So yeah, eventually,
yeah,
you know, we'll have it figured out, but you know,
yeah.
you're gonna get there eventually. So yeah,
Definitely. And
that's
you
my
know, these
point.
expectations, they even come with the iPhone. Have you guys seen these guys, these ladies with the iPhone? I have a friend of mine, is like, you must take the picture like this, and it must be like this. And if you don't take it like this, they delete. Like,
Hey,
yeah,
it has to be
start.
precise. It has to be precise. Instagram standards. It has to be very precise. So it's tough. It's tough. It's tough to keep up. But yeah, yeah.
Okay, Bokang, expectations. What you experiencing, my brother, and how you dealing with those expectations?
Yo, I think my brothers have mentioned it quite well. You know, sometimes it's so difficult just to be a man. I think now for me, the biggest expectations that I think is very difficult is an expectation to be a man. You'll be told to, like, you know, my man, be a man. And you're like, what are you talking about? You're expected to, like the gentleman have said, you're expected to know that tomorrow the globe is going to burn off. It must be fixed. And
Yeah,
then your partner will tell you, you
yeah,
know, have you seen how long is the grass? And you're thinking, where do I fit in this whole thing? Be a man, my man, do it. So I always try in my own way to fight against the self-expectation to behave like men. Because I think one of the brothers did indicate to
yeah.
say, which I concur with, to say, I'm not a gender conscious type of guy. I have seen women that behave more men than other women, and then I've seen men behave more lady
Yes.
than other ones. So I don't say there's nothing wrong. I don't see anything wrong
Yeah.
with that. And I think I expect that we as men, under the pressure that Michael talked about, we sometimes we put ourselves in pressure to say, I have to be the man and show the face, I have to carry the family, I have to do this and this and that. And if I fail on any one of them, I cannot handle the fact that I'm a failure. So I think for me, the biggest pressure is the pressure to succeed at all times. And I think for me, I have given myself that faith to say it is fine sometimes to fail. And then if you accept
Yes.
that you can fail and learn from that failure as a man, is something that you can learn. But the biggest thing, I think, you know what, the expectation to be a man are quite difficult on the society. And I'm saying the society because there are men in the society. And if you look at our history, mostly these pressures come from men themselves. So
Yes.
that is the biggest thing that I try to do. And for me, I think I have given myself that thing to say, you know what, if somebody says be a man, don't be too soft and all of those things, I've created some sort of mentality to open the channels in my ears, come this side, go that side, and accept myself with my own imperfections, knowing that I might not even know how to open that bulb box. Sometimes I'm not quite even
Exactly.
good with these sort of things, but I can be good with cooking. You might find out somebody say, you're cooking, what is happening? Now you are
Yeah.
not men anymore. Are
Yes.
you doing laundry? Those sort of things.
Yes.
So I try to get myself away from those pressures of having to appear and be a man all the time. And the other thing is
And
that
that's true. Mm.
I also allow myself to be a child at some point, spend my time with my
Yes.
kids, and behave like a child. Be a bit of
Yeah.
don't be too serious. Don't be like, you know what, you are not strong enough. And sometimes you get
Yeah.
women that tells you to say, yeah, you are not strong enough. You're like, should I beat you now to be strong enough? And all of these sort of things. So you have those
Exactly.
things. So a man, that I personally think from my few years of experience, it is the biggest pressure of be a man. Yeah.
It's like there are plenty of unsaid rules that we should align and abide with. It's tough. It's tough. I see Fountain of Life says, "Wow, I'm impressed with the answer, Yaniso. Men are expected to pay the bill, my brother, always. So even if you ordered saladinyana, you settle the tables bill. You settle the tables bill." Earlier on, Fountain says, yes, the expectations of getting married that we expected. Conversation with the little one says, loving this conversation, gentlemen. The iPhone pressure. So there are a lot of pressure on us men. It says it's also in your 20s. Yes, you're expected to get married and start a family. You know, like while you're discovering yourself, they say, no, we want family, children must be there. And while we want to be financially independent, I like that. I like that. Let's take it even a notch higher. We were told that there is listoisis, we should not eat polony, we should not eat noodles, we should not eat, I think now recently it's biscuits. I see you today, it says, what do men normally talk about when they're together? Today, we answered that one. Don't you want to catch us? We said. Okay, listoisis, baloney, that we should not eat baloney, listoisis. But when we move on from that, they don't tell us that now you can eat tin fish, you can eat baloney, you can eat noodles and biscuits. You just see people continue eating. Tell me, gentlemen, let's talk. Are we still pushing the notion of men don't cry? Are we still pushing that notion of men don't cry? Or it's like listoisis, we will see as we go. Sometimes we cry, sometimes we don't cry, we are men. And sometimes no. Because in that process of notion of men don't cry, we are also raising boy children. So are we now passing that baton to them, say, hey, dude, hey, or now it's 2000, we don't do that anymore, we cry. Katlego.
Oh, vui. Men, gentlemen, brothers, cry a lot. Take it all out. I cry a lot. I think we need to change that. I mean, growing up, as you said, young men are too beat up, don't cry. But I've discovered crying is actually healing. I cry a lot. I cry for happiness. When I'm happy, I cry. Out of sorrow, I cry. I also cry for other people. I'm personally an empath, so I feel other people's pain. So sometimes I cry for them. But crying is so healing. It's so soothing. And sometimes you need to taste your own tears, man. They are salty, sometimes they are sweet. But cry, gentlemen. Cry.
I think Michael doesn't like that analogy. Michael, you don't look like you are crying.
Yeah.
As I told you, you can see with the eyes.
Crying is
Jabulani says here, he's writing an article on why men should redefine manhood for themselves in the same way women should define manhood. Jabulani, please in there include a chapter of men crying or Kalabafu. Kal.
Keep in your base.
Nyadiso, what do you think? Should we still cry or men don't cry?
I'm going to say something which is totally different from what has been encouraged by many. Many people encourage men to cry. Let's take it back to where it came from, where they said men don't cry. Let's take it to your family, you're a family man, you're walking into hospital, your child has been in an accident, is in ICU. Let's take it to that moment where you assume that expectation we were talking about, where now you are expected to fill in the forms, you are expected to do. So at that interval, unfortunately, according to me and what I believe, I do not have the right to cry at that interval. I need to be the one to keep things together for the family. And at that interval, then men do not cry. I will find my moment to cry and test the salt in my tears at a later stage. So I think it was directed to specific scenarios where maybe they are saying a man must step up at that interval. Unfortunately, by virtue of gender and expectation, as you put it, we cannot erase that. We can even take it to a corporate scenario that, without mentioning, I don't mention names of companies I work for or have worked for or interact with. They are symbols of black excellence, totality. They are these men who are seen as symbols, the ultimate CEOs. And when they break down, be it in a press conference or etc., when they break down at that interval, a lot of confidence is lost in them as a leader, from the right at the bottom to the top. So from that perspective, I say selectively so, men must cry, but not only in terms of gender. We must know when to cry, perhaps. We must be able to know when to assume certain expectation, as we would put it. And then there will be a time where you can now break down. It's a slightly different view. I'm sure many would not agree with it, but I'm taking it from that perspective. When a child sees the father cry, they feel there is no hope. If you get what I mean. So unfortunately, when they see the mother cry, they're like, "Oh, dad will take care of this. This is bigger than my mother is." But when my father is now crying, I'm feeling like, okay, there's no hope. All hope is lost. So that's where it came from.
Yeah, even in our tears, there's still expectations that this is the time you must cry. This is the time you must not cry.
But that's just my view. I also I respect other people's views.
Yeah, Michael, what's your take? And don't lie, I've seen you cry a number of times, Michael, behind the house. I've seen you a number of times.
Especially when they don't recognize him in parliament.
Yes. Imagine.
What do you think? What's your take on that, Michael? Are we still pushing notion of men don't cry?
I think my answer is complicated. It's that probably we shouldn't be pushing the notion of men don't cry. But I think that we do. But I think on this, we all have our own individual experiences. I mean, certainly, in my experience as a man, there will be women that cry every day themselves. But if they find as a man, there's one situation where you cry, they will even mock you. They will even laugh at you. And I found that situation, many years ago in my own life. But I do agree with the sentiments of the previous speaker. I'm not even saying it's right and that it's ideal. I mean, ideally, what we would want is, all of, both, or let's say all of the genders are equal and everyone's equal and it's an equal playing field. But there are expectations on a man that you have things in order. And I think there are expectations of a man showing a strong image. But I do wonder, when we look at the pressures on men in our society, especially unemployed men, we look at the level of domestic violence in our country, we look at the incidences of rape, the incidences of murder. I'm not saying it's always linked to this, but it doesn't look like men have a significant outlet, or not even, I don't know if significant is the word, but it doesn't look like that there's an outlet for men to express any emotion. if you're upset about something, you're meant to, you can't show anger that you're upset in that situation that is problematic for you, whether you're being fired or whether someone has, I don't know, is causing a problem in your life. Maybe they're trying to have a disciplinary at work against you. Often, I mean, even if there was death in the family, maybe you as the man in that situation, you need to be strong for your own family and children. Maybe if you do cry, you need to cry alone, and so on and so forth. But I suppose I do fear that with men not really being allowed an outlet in our society to express their emotions, what happens when a man cracks, when you go to that last point, do they end up hurting somebody? Do they end up taking their own life? And maybe there does need to be some kind of understanding and empathy that men are honestly human beings, and obviously many things are going to affect us on a daily basis, whether we choose to admit that or not.
Everybody out there, we are human beings. We are human beings too. Please, Jabu says on our comment, says the best place to cry is in the shower, my brother, in the shower, so that it can be mixed. You confuse the devil. They don't know, is it the water or is it you? But deep inside that, Kalinyembes, Tubapelu. Let's go to Leander. I know you cry. But for even if ungatu umzulu, Shaka Zulu ilembe,
and it's very, I'm not ashamed that I cry, because it's a good thing. Let it out. Don't bottle it in. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's very important to cry. Like I believe in letting it out, because I don't want to like move on in life and then get to a certain point and then things get really ugly. Like
Yes.
I don't want that for myself. So it's very important to cry. And also, as we've been talking throughout the past couple of few minutes, it's very difficult being a man. Like the expectations, everything. So I just want to echo on what the previous speaker had said. Cry, but be selective as to where you cry, right?
Yeah.
Because you got people that trust in you, that look up to you.
Yeah.
Especially within the family. As he mentioned, the kids. You can't cry in front of the kids. I mean, also, of course, that's also like an expectation. But also, like as a man, if you cry in front of the kids, that's also like a different picture towards them, right? Like if dad cries, then who am I? Like who do I look to? Who do I cry to? So it's a very, very tricky conversation. But definitely, I believe if you have to cry, but cry in hiding.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Bokang, where do you hide? Bokang, where do you hide when you go cry?
I cry in public. I think there was a strange time. Sometimes crying doesn't give you a warning that, it's about time. I was at the place, went to a colleague's funeral. I was crying more than the family. And I was trying to stop me. Obviously, I was not screaming, but my tears, I'm sure I did some good 2 liters of tears there. I sometimes cry a bit when my children make me proud and all of those. I think for me, I don't have a big problem about crying. I don't scream around, obviously, but I don't have a big problem about crying personally, sir.
Power to you, my brother. You wear your emotions on your sleeves, like, even at the funeral. And that time, but how are you related to this person? Why? The last time I saw it was a year ago. But you are crying.
No, I think, for me, I think I'm on that thing to say we are emotional beings. And I think what Michael spoke about before he left, to say bottling them in, trying to fit the expectation of Superman, it's something that creates that problem for South Africans, that they collapse easy because they when they fail or don't succeed or show weakness, for them, they are no human anymore, and they try to think that the society is that. I've decided to get over that and to say, you know what, I'm a human. Try not to over satisfy, because that is the thing that might take away your life. I cry. I joke sometimes. I have tears, maybe watching something interesting or somebody helping somebody on TV, and the tears are on my son, like, Daddy, are you crying? Yeah. So I think they need to know to say we are emotional as well as human beings.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Alexander, what's your take on that?
I obviously think the conversation and the topic around men don't cry is not just as straightforward and and simple like that. It obviously carries a lot. But I agree with most of what was said here about where you cry and all that, because I've found myself in instances where I'm fighting tears, right? And I'm fighting tears because this is probably a public space, or I don't know anyone here who's gonna put their hand around my shoulder or anything like that, and I'll immediately walk away and maybe go into the car if I'm at a mall. If I'm somewhere where I don't know anybody, go into the car and I'll let it rip. So yes, the idea of men don't cry, it carries a level of toxicity with it. I don't know if the grammarian is here to check that word, but it carries a level of toxicity with it.
Yes.
But I think as a society also, we need to afford ourselves enough time to pause and actually understand what we are talking about. Sometimes we just say men don't cry and we just push it out there and we leave it to grow its own feathers and its own branches. Yet we don't give ourselves enough time to pause and say, hold on, what are we talking about? What do you mean men don't cry? Are you talking about like human beings? Because I know human beings cry. So what is it that you're talking about? So we need to actually clarify those things and afford ourselves enough time to say that. So if the question is, do men cry? Definitely, like I do, and I've done it so many times. Where do we cry? It's another conversation altogether. I think the space needs to be safe, and I think it's generally like that for everybody. I'll give an example. I see we over time, but I'll give an example. I was at a mall recently, and I wanted to print my ID at these printing places, right? As I was walking in to print my ID, there was a lady who works behind the counter who was crying, and she was walking out of the store, right? And that just tells me that, hold on, she didn't find this space to be safe for her to cry. She had to, and I mean, it's a lady, it's not a man that needed to hide it yet, right? So I think just as human beings, we are cognizant of the idea that we need to cry. It's important to cry, but where you do it, I think is also important. And sometimes when you're in that emotional state, it's hard to think, where can I do it? Then I understand. But if you are still able to say, is it safe for me to cry here? I think then you have the strength to move and go cry where it's safe, where you get an arm around you, where you can talk to somebody, get someone to comfort you, rather than cry in a place where you'll be ridiculed.
Thank you very much. Ladies, you heard it. Men do cry. Allow us the space to cry. Sometimes we do cry in the shower, but we will cry. A conversation with the little one says, I'm bringing up boys and I'm quite intentional about correcting these societal myths, emotions, expressing feelings, etc. It's all part of being human. Thank you very much. Please, we have to teach our young boys so that Jabulan says, absolutely, find a safe space to cry. There are spaces where crying can cost you irreparable harm. Cry in the shower, Baba, in the shower. So we confuse the devil. Thank you very much for your comments. Now, gentlemen, closing comment, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Advice to men out there from what we spoke about on what we talk about as men, to expectations in our families, in our society, and regarding culture, and even workspace, to the notion of men don't cry. what are your parting words? What advice you'd like to give to men out there in quick 30 seconds? Let me start with you, Nyaniso.
Sure, 30 seconds it is. Okay. Firstly, I would like to say the expectation is high on men because you have been entrusted with a lot. You have been given roles, you've been given a crown, which perhaps you have not earned. So with a crown comes expectation. So let's not always take it from a negative. Let's also understand what the expectations, where they come from, and let's get more understanding of because as a leader, ultimately, because if you're given a crown, you're given that mandate to be a leader. As a leader, nothing surpasses having understanding and having more information.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm even writing down like it's like 30 minutes was too short. Bokan, your parting words?
Well, I think for us as men or males, we have to understand that we are always humans. And I think for me, we find a lot of comfort in our own faith and belief. I think if we have a situation where we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable and then be able to understand and make those followers that have given you a crown to understand, to say, you know what, I'm still human. It doesn't make me, if I express my weakness, it doesn't make me weak. It just shows that I'm women and we can be able to think at the same level. And I think the most important thing for us is to say, whatever you believe in, I think believe in something that can be some sort of an anchor to yourself. And then you will know that you can be able to lean on that. It doesn't have to be an individual, can be faith, can be religion, whatever it is. Find that pillar that you can be able to hold and be able to be a man with. But I'm that thing to say, you know what, the era of men and gender, it needs to be aligned to say every woman can do anything that a man can do, and any man can do anything that a woman can do these days. So I think we need to encourage that and be able to not create those men don't cry or women should cry. Sometimes we expect women to be strong at the particular moment and show leadership. And similar to us as men, we need to be able to understand that. Don't be hard on yourself if you're not succeeding on all things. Don't be too hard on yourself if you are not getting all of those expectations satisfied. And if you can't change that loop, you can't change that loop. Accept it and then take it like that.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Katleho, your 30 seconds parting advice.
Yeah, thanks, Willie. Well, first let me say it was quite interesting being part of this panel with all these gentlemen. Thank you so much. You guys are all awesome. Advice for men, first is love yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you do not love yourself, you cannot offer somebody else the love that you do not understand. So it's important for men to love themselves. And before men are men, they are human beings.
Yeah.
So it's important that we do not, carry the cloak of manhood as though it's a superhero, a Superman cloak. We need to be able to lead with compassion, and compassion starts from understanding and from loving. And to all the gentlemen on the panel, Nikad, Rafit, Nomak Seshara, Nikad.
Yes. Carl. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. We're moving on now to Tetlana. Your 30 seconds parting words.
I think for me, it's for gents and well, for gents in general, to be honest with themselves. Be honest with yourself. If you're great at something, go for it. If you struggle with something, ask for help. It's not a bad idea, or it doesn't make you weak to ask for help. And always know that in building society, we need your contribution somewhere, somehow. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And then, last but not least, Luanda and DK, your 30 seconds parting words.
I'm simply going to close off by saying, take care of your well-being, and also just take care of your mental health, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So basically, that's my closing. Those are my closing words. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you all heard, and thanks for joining Men's Talk from Empower. You heard, you heard. I think we go away with our cup filled with these pearls of wisdom and the ability to create a platform where accept that yes, it's tough, but we're still humans. We're still humans irrespective. I would like to leave you with this few lines or two lines from Marianne Williamson's book says, and as we let our own light shine, we allow others to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. My name is Vivu Teller. It's been a pleasure to host you this evening. Please do join us on the 1st of November for our episode 2 as we continue Men's Talk. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen, and thank you for spending time with us this evening. Have an awesome evening.